how you had 2 C-sections, so with your 2 daughters, and you were really committed and really wanted to have a VBAC. So you kind of shared your story. So to backtrack a little bit, so with your C-sections, were these something that were planned, or how did these kind of come about in your birth story with your daughters?
So my first one was with London, almost 7 years ago. And that was not planned at all. I went in wanting like a natural birth, but I was also naive to what birth was like, and just how to I wasn't mentally prepared either, but I just wasn't progressing in my labor. And I didn't even know either like how to use my voice really then, like what I know now. And I just didn't even know the things to ask or look for, or, questions to ask my doctor. They said, it could be, and her heart rate was going down too with some contractions. So they said, we can wait a little bit longer, but then it would be an emergency if, she didn't come out within a certain amount of time. So we just decided, okay, let's just go ahead and do it as calmly as possible. So we'd had the C-section. She ended up having the umbilical cord wrapped around her neck 3 times. They did say that if I would have had her vaginally, she probably wouldn't have survived. So I feel like completely at peace with that C-section, even though it was actually more traumatic. Just with her, they had to whisk her off and make sure she was okay. And then I got an infection and was hospitalized afterwards. And so that one was it was traumatic. And so my next, when I got pregnant again with my second daughter, I was like, okay, I want a VBAC. I do not want to experience that C-section again. I actually had a different doctor because we had moved to a different state, and I told them about my desire to have a VBAC, and they said, okay, that's fine. But at each appointment I was kind of like, and we're on course to have a VBAC, right? Like we can do this. And they're like, yeah, some doctors, you kind of at that practice, you had to see different doctors. Different doctors would kind of say different things. Some of them would be more encouraging than others, but more often I left just discouraged, and they really weren't supporting my dream of having a VBAC. But again, even 4 years ago, I didn't know that I had a voice, and I didn't know what questions or where to go to get the information that I needed, or that I could even go to a different doctor. And had I known that, I would have done things differently. We were still kind of on course to have a VBAC. And then my last week, because they would only let me go, I think a week past my due date, and they said they would not induce me or anything like that. They said, we're going to schedule the C-section because I wasn't dilated, I wasn't progressing or anything. They weren't going to give me any more time. So that was really emotional, knowing that I felt like I didn't have a choice or any other options. So that one was scheduled, but I will say that it was a lot more peaceful, and I still got to let the blood pulse, the umbilical cord, delayed the cutting of the cord. I got to do the skin to skin. So I knew that I could ask for those certain things. Again, more at peace with that. But it was still hard. And I knew with my next pregnancy that I was going to do everything that I knew that I could. And I researched a lot and did a lot more fighting for myself and advocating for myself with my third one.